Welcome to Planet Earth, our loving home. In light of growing concerns about climate change and its effects on the planet, Supreme Master Television visited with Dr. Gerald Dickens, Associate Professor of Earth Science at the prestigious Rice University, located in Houston, Texas, USA. The private institution has earned respect as a pioneer in the fields of nanotechnology, structural chemical analysis, and space science. As one of the most widely known and highly regarded universities in the United States, it is often highly ranked in numerous reports. Professor Dickens is a leading researcher into the past history of the world's oceans, with respect to the changing patterns of their geology, chemistry, and biology. Currently, he serves as a Paleoceanography Editor-in-Chief of the American Geophysical Union, the most cited journal in the earth sciences field throughout the world. Last week, Professor Dickens began to discuss one of his primary areas of research, reserves of crystallized gas, mainly of methane, that are found buried in the ocean floor. The interview continues to explore what earth scientists know today about this methane gas, how it interacts with the environment, and how global warming may play a part.
So what would that do to the world, to the plant life, the human life, the planet itself? If a lot of methane gas was released as a result of global warming heating up the ocean, what are the potentials?
Well, the first thing to think about is where does the methane go? So if the methane comes out of the sediment, there's really sort of two possibilities. One is it would go into the ocean and be oxidized in the ocean, in which case the methane would be converted to carbon dioxide in the ocean. And probably the most significant effect right off the bat is acidification. So you drop the pH. The second possibility is of course, you could bubble methane up to the atmosphere. Or it turns out an interesting phenomenon that we have discovered is that sometimes pieces of hydrate will float. So they can float up very shallow and then dissociate near this ocean surface. So there's ways to get methane into the atmosphere. Now it turns out what's interesting with methane is it's a very potent greenhouse gas, so much more potent than CO2. So the net effect of that is to essentially contribute to warming.
So we're talking about volumes here. How much volume of methane? I've read estimates like anything up to 10 trillion tons of methane in the ocean.
Let's just think about this. I usually think in gigatons, and so
Gigaton is?
Yeah, so gigaton is a trillion tons.
1 trillion tons.
And so we usually think somewhere on the order of 2,000 to 20,000 gigatons are the sort of estimates for how much methane is stored in the crystal phase, of which again there will be also gas bubbles and dissolved. And so the total system we're talking on the order of somewhere on that range, 2,000 to 20,000 gigatons of methane.
Keep your dial tuned here to Supreme Master Television to hear Dr. Dickens reveal what could happen if the methane is released into the atmosphere. You're watching Planet Earth, our loving home. Planet Earth, Our Loving Home, we have Dr. Gerald Dickens, Associate Professor at the renowned Rice University in the United States. In our previous segment, he spoke of the thousands of gigatons of methane that is currently stored in our oceans in crystal phase.
And if that was released into the atmosphere?
Well, I don't think it would be ever possible to release it all, but even if a fraction of that, we can think about, for example, what humans are doing today. So probably, if we burned all the fossil fuels that are available today, it's somewhere on the order of 4,000 gigatons of carbon that will be added to the atmosphere. So you can imagine if 10,000 gigatons of methane, an average number for estimates that people have made, if 1/10 of that goes, we're on the order of magnitude of what we're doing today in terms of adding carbon dioxide.
So is methane toxic to humans?
Certainly, if the entire atmosphere around you is methane, it is toxic.
There's no oxygen to breathe.
But at small amounts of methane, they're not going to be toxic. But certainly it's flammable, so it's not a good idea to have lots of methane.
Has this ever happened in the past where a lot of methane gas has been released into the atmosphere on Earth?
We think so. We are very confident that there are times in the past where large amounts of carbon dioxide go into the ocean and or atmosphere very quickly. We think that the source of that carbon dioxide is oxidized methane, so that methane has come into the system, and either by mixing with oxygen in the ocean or through various reactions in the atmosphere get converted to CO2.
And when did this happen?
Probably the best studied of these times is about 55 million years ago, right after the Paleocene-Eocene boundary. And it's an interesting time in that we see all sorts of environmental consequences. So something clearly happened. In fact, that's why we have a boundary there, because the organisms on life changed quite dramatically across this time interval. And we see things such as 6-7 degree warming around the world, including at the high latitudes. We see changes in hydrologic cycles, so some places become very dry, some places become very wet. We see ocean acidification. We see changes in oxygen content in the ocean. So many different environmental changes occur during this time.
Open-minded viewers, we invite you to join us next Wednesday on Planet Earth, Our Loving Home, for Professor Dickens' explanation of what science has found about an Earth that was warm 55 million years ago, and of the state of warming it faces now. Now, please stay tuned for enlightening entertainment right after noteworthy news. You're watching Supreme Master Television. So long for now.